Welcome to Sales Mastery. I'm your host, Anna Scheller, and my very special guest today is Mark, the Sales Hunter. Mark's journey in sales includes multiple sales and leadership roles with 3 Fortune 500 companies. His experiences provided the foundation for him to create the name, the Sales Hunter. His resume says that he specializes in business development, guiding organizations to find and retain high-quality prospects. But for Mark, it really boils down to relationships. He considers it an honor to connect with people each and every day. And I can tell you from the first time I spoke with Mark on the phone till even now, Mark is always personable and he genuinely cares about the people that he's speaking with. On Sales Mastery today, we're going to be talking about his upcoming book, The Mind for Sales. In it, he talks about the 3 greatest assets we have, and they're not what you think. How to use a CRM to create more sales and not just as a historical database. And finally, how to uncover your customers' needs when they don't even know what they are. So here we are with Sales Mastery and Mark Hunter. Mark, it is such a thrill to have you back. You're one of my most recurring guests, and you always bring such great content. Thank you for joining me today.
Hey, thank you for having me on, and I enjoy being on with you and your audience. It's always fun. It's engaging.
Thank you. Now, I did not realize you had a new book coming out, because originally we had talked about you coming on and talking about public speaking, which is a fabulous form of lead generation. I bet you get tons of leads off of your public speaking. And you're really, pardon?
Yeah, I do. I mean, that's really at the top of my sales funnel. That, and then, the books I write.
Yeah, true. Like when I'm stuck prospecting, your book and Jeb's book, Fanatical Prospecting, those are the 2. Jeb's book I read to get a kick in the pants, like why aren't you doing this? Like I told you about before we got on the video. We were talking about how I've hit a sales slump recently, and the 30-day, I was reading Jeb's story and the 30-day rule and how it turned him around. And I thought, and Jeb's a great guy, but if Jeb can do it, they can do it, right?
Hey, that's, what? Everybody is in sales and everybody goes through slumps. I don't care who you are, no matter how great you are, you always have to be continually priming the pump.
Exactly. And so, but you've got a new book out, A Mind for Sales, which I've read through the table of contents and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, and that's really good. And this is so good. So we can't do the whole book, but definitely we want to make sure that we help you get the word out about the book. But a lot of people, when it comes to sales, what do you find is probably the biggest challenge that salespeople have when it comes to being successful in sales?
Well, I think the biggest problem is themselves. I mean, I really hate to say it. We look in the mirror every morning, and the biggest problem is ourselves, because we create this evil mindset that we can't do this, or I can't do this, or we create such incredible self-limiting beliefs. And that's why I wrote the book, A Mind for Sales, because it really is about reshaping your mind. And then after that, it's about being willing to use the resources that you have around you. Because again, in fact, I just got done writing a blog column on this whole issue that it's not what we believe, it's what the customer believes. And there's so many times, well, that prospect, I know they're not going to buy from us. I know they're not going to buy from me, so I'm not even going to bother to call them. Well, how do we know until we pick up the phone and call them?
Right.
We just sell ourselves short way too much. It hurts. It's painful.
Well, and then we get on the phone. So if we think somebody's not going to buy from us, but we go through the motions and then we get on the phone, we actually invite them not to buy from us, don't we?
Oh, we do, because of our behavior. And here's the whole thing. We shut our mind down to where we don't hear what we need to be hearing. I contend that every one of us every day, we come across any wide number of opportunities, but we fail to see them because we're not prepped. We're not ready to hear them. We're not ready to see them. So what happens is, and you see this so often, if you're a salesperson and you happen to make tag team calls, where you go in with somebody else. And I used to do this a lot. And I still do this when I'm coaching salespeople. I'll go in on a sales call, and I'll be sitting there and the salesperson there, and we leave. And it's amazing the differences of opinions we have. We sat in the same meeting. We sat in the exact same meeting, yet we heard things differently. Why is that? Because we shut our mind down. And the key way to overcome this, and this is so very simple, is just to ask more questions, more follow-up questions that get the other person to build on what they just shared with you. If we would just take the time to listen, put our questions aside, I ask you one question, you share with me, and I come back and I just ask you a follow-up question again on that. And you share with me some more, I ask you another. And I just keep following up questions on what you share with me. It's amazing. That simple mind shift right there is going to open up so many opportunities, because I don't think any customer wakes up in the morning and says, man, I hope there's a salesperson that comes to me today and gives me a presentation. No. Doesn't happen, right? No, it doesn't happen. Sales, customers want a conversation. They want help with their problems.
They really do.
Yeah, that's the approach we have to have.
As you were saying that, I was reminded of a conversation I had this week. So again, we were having this conversation beforehand. I was telling you about this company that contacted me 2 months ago. Again, this is the 90-day thing. It took 2 months to close this deal. And so the gentleman I'm working with is very motivated. And so he told me that his company had come back and wanted him to look at some other options. Now, here's the mindset shift, because my first thought was, oh. And then my next thought was, well, it doesn't hurt to ask what they asked him to look for. So I did. And I was able to lead him into some insights that he might have not had otherwise. Now, was I trying desperately to get the sale? No, I wasn't desperate, but I was trying to inform him of what the options were that he was looking at. And it was this simple idea. If I had stopped and said, oh, he's not going to give me that information, because a lot of us are afraid that somebody's going to get offended because we're getting too personal maybe. But, people will tell you more. If they want your help, they will tell you more than you probably even thought you could get.
They will always share with you more. But first of all, they have to understand that you really care. And see, that was what was key. You asked the question just to get more insight and to help them. Yeah, and it's amazing when we frame our questions up, when we position our questions with that type of a mindset. It is amazing how they will sit there and share with us. Yes, they will. And what we have to block ourselves, and I was so glad that you didn't say this, because so many times we're going to look at other options. The ding, ding, ding in your mind says, my price is too high. I got to cut my price. No, that's never it. That's never it. That's never it. But boy, that's the mindset that a lot of salespeople run to. Well, if I just cut my price low enough, I'm sure they'll buy from me. And I know, because we talked about this story, that wasn't the case at all. It wasn't the situation.
And the company is looking for inexpensive, and I was able to. So yeah, we did close the deal, but it did come from a place of service.
Right.
But getting to your book, okay. So this is going to be on TV and video, and then for my podcast listeners, so you couldn't see, I'm just excited to get into the book, because there are sections of the book. Your mind drives your success, your greatest assets, which is not what we think, minefields and mind traps. Ooh, I love the one, what your CRM's not telling you, and don't let your customers control your mind and the future of sales. So we're just going to dig into a couple of those sections.
Sure. Let's go.
Yeah. So you say our greatest assets. Now, most people would think my greatest asset is going to be money, right? Yeah. That's usually what I think of. It's usually that's mostly what I think people think of. If I just had enough money,
Mm-hmm.
then I could make the sale. If
Yeah.
they would just, if I just had enough leads,
Right. Yep.
I could make the sale. If the marketing worked, I could make the sale. So let's talk about the three greatest assets we have.
Yeah. The three greatest assets you have are your time, your mind, and your network. Now, if you think about that, that's pretty basic. But here's what I find. This is where I blow salespeople's minds away. Ask them and says, what's the most important thing? And they'll say, oh, it's my leads. Like, it's the prospects, my customers, what I sell, the new product that's coming out. I go, no, it's not. It's your time. How you manage, how you use your time. That is your most valuable asset. Your mind is incredibly powerful because how do you respond when you're confronted with a situation? What is it that you can share? How do you know? What do you know? How do you guide? How do you help? All these pieces of your mind. And then your network is really the relationships. One of the most fascinating things, and it's even more important today than ever, is that your reputation arrives before you do. If you think about it, nobody contacts anybody who they don't know. And maybe somebody contacts me. Well, what have they done? They've gone out to Google. They've Googled me and they've looked at my reputation. Same way with you, Anna. They take a look and who's Anna Scheller? What's this all? Who's she all about? Our reputation arrives before we do. And one of the things that comprises our reputation is the network, is the people that we spend time with. And one of the things that I talk about in the book is your goal every day is to protect your time. In other words, use it as wisely and efficiently as possible. Grow your mind. How do I end each day smarter than I began the day? And nurture your network. Now, you notice I use the word nurture. This is so cool. I use the word nurture for a very key reason. It's not about using your people. I'm going to use my network. No, it's not. It's not about helping. It's nurture. How do I help my network become more valuable? Because if I help my network to become more valuable, I'm part of several different groups of really masterminds. And one of them that everybody's kind of familiar with, we're the mastermind that puts on this outbound conference.
Right.
And that's just a network of some friends, some good friends. And we got together and we did it. You see, but because we helped each other, we were able to create this massive outcome we call Outbound, which is a conference that happens every year now. And that to me is the essence of sales, because it comes back to my definition of sales. It's helping others see and achieve what they did not think was possible.
That is, as you were talking about, so I hear, and I know that that's your definition. And I think so many times we in sales think we have to push something onto people. We have to, or that's the stereotype, which is very unfortunate, because true salespeople like you and I, like the listeners in my audience, those people really do want to help other people. And we are there to expand their knowledge base, like my customer who came back and said, oh my gosh, this is what they have me looking at. Well, let me help you as we're navigating that together. Right. I understand where your company's coming from, but let's talk about how this can work. And I love the word nurture. Of course, I'm a mother, I'm a businesswoman, I'm a wife. My husband and I, we run the youth ministry at our church. So nurturing is really important to me. And to me, that's
huge.
I love that idea, because I should be the best salesperson in the world. Nothing personal, Mark.
Well, no, it's okay. It's okay. Because really, if you stop and think about it, we want to protect our time, grow our mind, and nurture a network. Not only do we do that for ourselves, but we do that for our customers and for everyone else we come in contact with. That's how we become an impact player, an impact maker.
Impact. I like that.
And if you stop and think about impact, do I want to be an impact player or an impact maker? Really what I want to be is an impact maker, because what that means is that I'm helping others become impactful. That's really the goal.
It is.
If I can create others, wow, that's huge.
Well, and that, then you don't have to worry about sales. you don't have to worry about money. You don't have to worry about who's going to pay you, because you've got people who are not only are you invested in them, but they're now beginning to invest in you because of the value.
Without a doubt, and that's why, you know, you can't invest enough in other people. Now, it's a long game. Now, don't confuse what I'm talking about with just, oh, I'm going to go to a networking event. You know, networking, prospecting. Networking is about creating relationships. Networking is a long tail, long term. But I'll tell you what, I've been blessed over the years to create a pretty valuable network. I'm continuously working on my network. Why? Because I know I can help them and they can help me. And what does that do? That allows me to bring a better service to my customers. Because every day we're out there selling. Every day we're out there selling.
Absolutely. And you can include in your network the sales mastery folks who are listening. So now we are expanding your network even more.
Yeah. You know, stop and think about what's the value of the sales mastery network. It is really, it's about nurturing people, but it's about growing your mind. And one of the challenges, and I talk about this in the book, I want to ask myself each day, what did I learn? What did I learn today? And how do I use it tomorrow? How do I use it? One of the things, in fact, it's interesting. I had a person who I coach write me an email this morning. And she said, and she went through this thing of I got this customer and I thought they were great. And then they're ghosting me. I can't get them to re-engage. And I shared back with her an example of what I do quite a bit. And that is, I have a number of little one-page worksheets that if somebody goes silent on me, I've got all these one-page worksheets. And what I can do is I can just email a one-page worksheet. It's just kind of like a list of questions, list of ideas, list of thoughts. And I can email to, hey, thought you'd get some value out of this. Thought you'd like this. And you know what's interesting? You provide more value to people. And it's amazing how they'll stop ghosting you. Because then they're saying, whoa, I got to talk to Anna. I really have got to talk to Anna. She said good stuff. So,
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we're going to take a short break and then we'll be back to talk about the minefields and mind traps associated with A Mind for Sales. Join us back in a few moments. Well, welcome back to Sales Mastery. I'm here with Mark, the Sales Hunter, and we're talking about his book, A Mind for Sales. We were just talking about your greatest assets, which are your time, your mind, and your network. Now we're going to talk about the minefields and mind traps that suck us in, that quicksand that we get caught in, or those barriers that we run into that create that help cause us to lose our momentum. And so one of the ones, I mean, there's a lot of good ones here: social selling, thinking that marketing will get you leads. Although marketing's not bad, but we have to realize that marketing is just one form of lead generation. We need to have multiple forms. But, you know, I'm kind of curious about this one. What your CRM is not telling you, what is that about?
Well, the CRM by nature is a historical database. You know, if you think about it, we put into CRM system what happened. But what CRM systems don't do is they don't do a good job of predicting the future. See, what I really want to do is I want to look at the weather forecast. I want to see what's going to happen. And this is one of the big challenges we have, is that so many organizations are constricted. Well, if it's not in the CRM system, it didn't happen. All that stuff. So we wind up creating this historical mindset, and we don't look at what's happening down the road. So what I say is I want to take my CRM system, be breaking down clients by industry and so forth, and begin to identify trends, emerging trends before they occur. Ooh. Because if I can help my customers with a trend that they may not even yet be aware of, wow, that's absolutely huge. That's absolutely beneficial. If I can help identify for them something they may need to know about their customer, in other words, my customers' customers, wow, that's huge. See, so what I want to do is I want to flip the CRM system around. and begin saying, how do I mine this? Yes, historical data, but how do I now use that to get me out ahead? Because if I can look out 3, 6, 9, 12 months down the road, and I
Mm.
share those insights with customers, wow, it's amazing how much more impact I can have in terms of sales.
Well, and that gets back to providing value. So it's about that nurture that you're talking about. It's about not using it just to be a data dump for your, the phone calls that you're making or the emails that you're sending, but it's really about using the tool to not just get more sales, but to benefit your customers.
That is so spot on. And one of the other pieces that I talk about in the book is look at parallel industries. Look at what else is happening out there. One of the interesting things is that you can tell a lot about what's going on in an industry by just looking at another industry alongside of it. And
Hmm.
for instance, let's just take a look at trends in the typical grocery store industry. Well, what's
Okay.
the trend we look at? We look at restaurants. As more people are saying, I want to go to a restaurant. Well, no, look at another trend in restaurant. Grubhub and Uber Eats and all these delivery needs out there, DoorDash. How is that impacted? How does that impact the consumer? How does it impact? And you begin pulling it back down. And so I can see that if I'm selling, we'll say I'm selling furniture, restaurant fixtures, or displays for stores. Wow, that market's changing. How do I reach that market in a different manner? Now that's a very generic. That's pretty easy for us
Yeah.
to see. But let's run it a step further. Let's look at what's happening. One of the really cool barometers that I like to look at, and we can look at it right now. It's happening right now. How is China going to potentially impact business this fall?
Hmm.
Because if you look at the supply chain, so are there companies that I sell to? Are there hardware manufacturers? We'll say software and hardware. It's not going to affect software, but what's the software going to run on? It's going to run on hardware. So maybe it says that I'm not going to be able to get the servers I want. So maybe it says I'm going to have to move to the cloud. Maybe it says now again, I'm just making this stuff up very, very, very quickly. But if you look at your customer and then look at their customer,
Hmm.
and what are all the steps that impact them, you can begin to see what are those parallel industries that you can look at. And it's amazing. It's amazing the insight you bring back to your customer and to prospect.
Oh, yeah. And that just makes you even more valuable. I mean, then you become not just the salesperson, you are the person that they go to for advice, for information. I think Anthony Iannarino, he's all about that. He's all about the coming in. We're not, yes, we are serving the customer, but we are coming in as somebody, as part of their team. We are
Right,
part of their team to help them succeed, not just in the widget, not
right,
like this gentleman here. Getting back to my example, uh, he doesn't care about having a washer and dryer in his apartment, but you know what he does care about? He does care about having a place to drop off his clothes. So I'm going to get him some information, and I have a friend who has a dry cleaning place. I'm going to get him a couple of coupons off, and
there
I'm
you
going
go.
to stick it in
Right,
there for
right,
him. I want to be his resource for stuff in my town.
right.
And
See,
I
so
want to,
yeah,
yeah, there
yeah.
you go.
You're finding out his need. In my book, I tell the story about Steve Jobs. And if you think about the
Mm.
iPhone, when the iPhone first came out, and I remember very distinctly when the iPhone first came out, I didn't know I needed a camera, a music player, a telephone, and a computer in the same device. I didn't know that. I did not know that.
Uh-huh.
Steve Jobs did. See? So really, if you think about it, what was Steve Jobs doing? He was selling us. He was selling us because he saw what are our needs going to be way down the road.
Mm.
You with this person who says they don't want to wash and dryer, but they do want their clothes clean. They do. So what do you do? You're connecting them up with somebody else. See,
Yeah.
how do you identify needs and try to identify those needs even before the customer has them? And that's what Steve Jobs did.
Hmm.
He created the smartphone market. which I think has been relatively successful. If Steve was just reacting to the marketplace, if you stop thinking about this, if he had been just reacting to the marketplace, he would have made one awesome flip phone.
Yeah.
And that was it. But instead he said, no, I'm going down the road. What are you going to do 2 or 3 years from now?
Well, and in that case too, we're also helping them expand one of their assets. Well, actually more than one asset. We're giving them time.
Mm-hmm.
And we're giving them, so how do we expand their assets? How do we give them more time? How do we help them build their mind and nurture how do we help them build their network? I mean, we can become so valuable. I mean, sales is not what it used to be. Sales is now about becoming part of the team, not making them part of your team.
Yes. Spot on. Spot on. Yeah. Yeah.
So, there's one other one that I wanted to throw out here. Sales is not a numbers game. Sales is a quality game. What's all that one about? Because I was told different.
Everybody always says, I need more leads. I need thousands of leads. I need hundreds of leads. I need this. I was with a company recently and had over 100,000 leads. 100,000 leads. They had 4 salespeople. There's no way they could manage 100,000 leads. See, people say that, well, sales is a numbers game. Sales is a numbers game. I don't know where that line came from. I think it's a bunch of crap. What I want to say is it's a quality game. You see, what I want to do is I want to be able to spend more time with fewer prospects. Whoa. Yeah, Struck up on that one. I want to spend more time with fewer prospects. Because what I have the ability to do, if I barely get to know you, if I barely get to know your needs, yeah, I'm going to close, I can close some sales, but I'm never going to maximize it. I'm never going to maximize the value for you, and I'm never going to maximize the price for me. If, on the other hand, I have the ability to really understand your needs, understand you, and we create a high level of trust and confidence, it's amazing how I'll be able to help you uncover needs that you didn't realize you had, serve you better, and I'll optimize my profit. Now, see, profit is really a good thing. It cuts both ways. It's the money I make, but it's the value you get too. See, it works both ways.
Yeah.
But I can't do that if I'm just racing through, because then all I'm doing is transactions.
Very true. Very, very true. And I think we have to, we have to keep that in mind, that the basis of sales is relationships. The basis of sales is honest interaction, face-to-face, caring for the customer, because that will work both ways. That will work both ways.
Trust is absolutely key. Trust is the currency of business. That's a line I like. Trust is the currency of business. And here's what I found. The higher the level of trust, the less the need will be to negotiate price. Think about that for a moment, right?
True.
Right? Because the higher the level of trust, that means you understand, that means the two parties understand each other better. And there'll be less need for any type of a negotiation, especially negotiation over price.
Wow. That's powerful, but it's so true. It's so true. You walk into a dealership, you trust the dealership.
Right.
You're going to sit there and
Bingo.
Dicker away at the price. You're going to say, I know this guy's giving me a good deal. And I know of a lady who walked into a dealership. She's working with a sales consultant there. And she trusted the sales consultant. She also happened to be a very close friend of the owner of the dealership. Like, the guy owned like several dealerships in the local area. The consultant didn't know that. So as they're working the deal, she's working with him, and they're consummating the deal. She's about ready to sign all the papers and everything. Owner walks by, and she says, "Oh, hey, Nick, how are you?" And he goes, "Oh, so good to see you. Is he treating you right?" "Oh, yeah, he's treating me right." And Nick goes on his way, and the sales consultant drops his jaw and goes, You know him?" And she said, "Well, yeah, well, I know him. But I wasn't going to leverage that because I trusted you. I trusted you to give me the deal I needed."
Wow.
So, it's so true. It's so true. Well, we're coming to the end of our time, but what is something that you would say to someone who says, okay, I get it. I get in my way. What's my first step besides buying your book?
Yeah, the first step besides buying the book and reading the book and applying the book is really taking a step back and doing two things. One, create a list of all of your customers and all the outcomes that you've helped them create. Okay? You make that list. Two, you then begin to say, what are the questions I need to be asking prospects? They're going to help get me to understand whether or not I can help them with those same outcomes. You do those two things and you coat them with this attitude of this, and the attitude is this. If you know you have the ability to help somebody, you have the responsibility to prospect them. And you're going to interrupt them. Sure, that's fine. But you know what? If you have the ability to help somebody and you don't take that responsibility seriously to help them, you're doing them a disservice.
Mm-hmm.
You see, sales is about helping people. That's why I say sales is not a job. It's not a profession, but sales is a lifestyle.
It is.
And when you're focused on helping people, man, it just comes naturally. I love it.
And it's exciting. You can wake up in the morning and go, yes.
It is. Because you know you have the ability to impact people today. And what I find so amazing about sales is, well, gee, nothing's going on. Yeah, but you know what? Just then, boom, something happens. And are you going to be ready? Are you going to be ready? You have to be like the batter in the batter's box. You never know what the pitch is going to be. You think you might know what the pitch is, but you don't know until that pitch. But you know what? You better be ready for that pitch. That's really what sales is all about. Always being ready for the pitch.
Absolutely. Well, Mark, it is always and forever a pleasure to have you on Sales Mastery. Of course, as usual, you've brought amazing value to the Sales Mastery listeners. And how can they get a copy of the book? It goes on sale the 31st of March.
31st of March, but you can order it now. We got a whole series of free things that you can download. We're putting together a whole video series and workbook that goes along with it if you buy a copy of the book. But anyway, it really best place to go is go out to thesaleshunter.com. Thesaleshunter.com. That's the website. And yes, Hunter is my real last name. Yes, that is. People always ask me, what did you change it? No, that's been my name. And but anyway, you go there. There's some links over to the book site. But hey, you can get the book you can buy the book at Barnes and Noble, Amazon, Books A Million, bookstores. It's going to be out there. It's going to be a great book. I am looking forward to being able to share the story to help people.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to have you with me today.
Thank you. Great selling.
It's always a pleasure to have Mark join me on Sales Mastery, as he is the sales master. And if you want to get that book, go to thesaleshunter.com/books. You can order it from his website. The release date is the 31st of March. I wouldn't wait. Go to thesaleshunter.com/books. Thank you for joining me today on Sales Mastery. It's been a real delight to have you with me. If you want to learn more about me, go ahead, jump to my website at annascheller.com. That's annascheller.com. You can look at my blogs. You can see the podcasts as well as start to view video. So thank you for joining me again today. It's always a pleasure to meet with you.